Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It is Thursday night, and that means one thing: it is the Cup action here tonight. We are in for a treat. We are at the Monster Mile. We are here at Dover International Speedway, a very tricky track that can bring up some very tricky runs on the race car. I'm, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson. Joining me up here in the booth, I have Mr. Mark Hanson. Mark, how you going, mate?
Good evening, Carl. Well, mate, looking forward to this race tonight because the recent ones that we've seen here have been very, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. This place does not fail to disappoint. You always get some good runs at the Monster Mile and the Concrete Canyon. It's a very tricky track, and it can bring up some very tricky runs as well. We also have Mr. Matty Hunter, of course, doing the hard work in the background on the cameras and piping in when he needs to. How you going, Matt?
Yeah, going good. Yep. Good to be here, and let's see what we can throw up at Dover tonight.
Very much so. And well, I mean, we have a starting time before the race, of course, Mark. And well, we've been talking about Dover. What's the thing that makes this place so hard to run on?
The concrete. It's a cement oval. It's by memory, it's the only one that is 100% cement. I think we were going through that once before, Carl. The bumps out of turn two, both down low and then again up high against the fence. If you hit those things wrong, you will find that big magnet get hold of you into the outside wall too. And then coming down into pit lane, where you're going from the cement down to asphalt, then back to cement to pull up in your pit boxes. And we have seen in recent times, and I know this is different in the 87s, the Weekend Warriors, and some of the Australasian V8 supercar action. They do not like changing surfaces very quickly.
Oh, absolutely. It really unsettles the car. Of course, there is Nashville Super Speedway, the longer concrete version of the track with 1.4 miles, I think. A slightly longer variant, but a very different style of track to over. And as I said, changing of surfaces when you get down on pit lane, always tricky. Cars will struggle getting down there. You've also got to contend with going onto the asphalt, then back onto concrete as you get into your boxes. Watch out for the people locking their tyres up, locking the brakes up and missing their pit box. We've seen that a few times in recent weeks and recent events here at Dover.
The other thing too, Carl, tonight is especially with the ANZCAR series, that hybrid setup we can run, where you have to start a certain setup, but then at that first pit stop or as soon as you come in, you can change some setups. Um, the guys will be looking to lower the cars a little bit, but you don't want to go too low because of those bumps and the surface change. We were just watching a few guys really get loose. The track's not overly hot, but it's definitely getting up there at 36 degrees Celsius and 97 Fahrenheit. So it is warm, but it's not overly hot. So it will throw another curveball into the factor also.
That's it. And there's a bit of cloud cover, a few things like that, which will help keep the track temperature down a little bit. But, well, as you know, the concrete, it tends to be a little bit cooler, but it can really chew up those tyres. So we'll keep an eye on that one as it goes throughout the race tonight. And yeah, it should be interesting, as you said, the changing of the being able to change a couple of little bits on the car could be crucial here tonight. We've seen it really pay off for a few drivers this season. They've really been able to make some great moves and momentum once they've come down pit lane, changed a little bit on the car. You can change tyre pressures, and of course you can change the bump stop on the suspension, just to how much suspension travel you've got. Tyre pressure is going to be a big one here, though. Obviously, dropping the tyre pressures a little bit will just help those tyres just last a little bit longer in the race.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at our live timing, Carl. Not nice to see Daniel Heddershoe up there, top of the table for warm up. I didn't quite actually see the closing of of the qualifying, but we're on the qualifying onto the grid now. So I'll hand it back to you, buddy.
We are indeed, and a rare sight in the Cup. It's Jason Martin out in a Cup car, and he's put it on pole up there next to Neil Pearson on the front row. Row number 2, we've got Ryan Jones. Good place for him to be starting in P2 tonight. Well, at least row 2 tonight. He seems to like the second place at the moment. Darren McKenzie on his outside. Here we have a new driver, Dwayne Burns, up on row 3 next to Stevie Dubb. Fourth row, we've got Toby Stent next to Aidan Schultz. On row number 5, it's Urquio and Shane Bowen. On the 6th row, we've got Darren Lobb with Dave Douglas. Row number 7 sees Mirko Dortnack next to Adam Malone. Adam Malone had a really good run recently. Hopefully he can get some good results tonight. Daniel Henscheid next to Christopher Tomlin on row 8. Row 9 sees Brenton Henderson next to Tom Neal. On row number 10 is Jai Schultz next to Joshua Carroll Walden. Norman Clark and Barry Neal are on the 11th row. Luke Georgeson, Phil Otto, 12th row. 13th row, we've got Stephen Clean next to Paul Jackson. Tristan Koch with Maddie Ray on the 14th row. 15th row, we have Nigel Patton and Aaron Dillon, hopefully, if he can get his computer working correctly. Ruben Phelps next to Riley Curtis, sporting a new paint job for Riley tonight. It's Andrew Dyson next to Parry Anastakis on the 17th row. And Kobe Jordan with Gary Wellman lined up on the 18th row in the final spots of tonight's race.
Yeah, interesting to see a few big names down towards the back. We've got Dyson starting so far back, and the one person that I do notice that we are missing tonight is Jamie Nankervis in the number 8 Mustang from the Black Arrows. Unfortunately, he's going to miss tonight. But nevertheless, we've got some great guys up front.
As we go green for the start of tonight's race, it's round number 11 of 36 of the ANZCAR Cup. Let me shut up and let's listen to these cars roar around the track here at Dover. As we get around for the first lap, very close to the wall, it looks like, for Steve McLennan, having a very narrow escape there from taking early damage. But up the front, Jason Martin pulls out into the lead. Ryan Jones slots into the familiar second place, a place where he is very close at the moment. And then Neil Pearson comes in third, racing all the way down the pack at the moment. We've still got side-by-side action a little bit further down the order up front. They've started single file mode.
Now, just looking further back in the pack, we've already seen the teammates starting to join up further back with Barry Neal and Paul Jackson. When those two boys get together, they are a dangerous combination, and they can slice through the field fairly quick.
Yeah, strong team indeed, those two orange cars. They may be joined by a third orange car, not of their teammates, but of Andrew Dyson, who's sitting just behind them at the moment. Just battling it out with Luke George, I think that is. And Phil Otto just behind them. Just up the front, big slide for Ryan Jones. It's giving Neil Pearson the opportunity to try and fight back. He does not quite make it there this time round. But the action is hot all the way through the field at the moment. As I said, it's a little bit warmer down the back of the pack in the midsection. Still side-by-side racing up the front, very much single file.
It's going to be, sorry, I was just going to say, Carl, it's going to be a couple of laps, probably 10 or 15 laps where the guys will just take their time, settle in, and just see how slippery this track is under race conditions. And once we get some rubber down, I think we will see some big moves starting to come from these guys at the back.
That's it. Once the tyres start to warm up and they get more comfortable, then the movement will start happening throughout the field. So we'll keep our eyes on that one as Andrew Dyson makes the move on Barry Neal here. Goes down the inside, gets his way up into P21, I think. So way down the order at the moment. A long way to go to get up to the front of the field still. But there's quite a lot of action throughout the pack at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure you and Matt have got a little radio there that I can't hear because I was just going to bring that up. Dyson's already on the move through the field. And we can see now that Dyson has actually put a gap on Barry Neal. So he's not hanging around. He definitely wants to get that back towards that pointy end.
Yeah, he's trying to get it up there. He's already 8 seconds off the lead, though, just with that battling. And there's quite a few little gaps finding themselves out in the pack. Brenton Henderson side by side at the moment with Christopher Tomlin, was it? No, it was Jai Schultz, sorry, supporting a new paint job tonight, just throwing me off completely. The 27 there, Jai Schultz, having a solid run and working his way up through to see what sort of off strategies he can pull tonight.
I'm just looking back at Christopher Tomlin's car. He's also supporting a new paint job there too. By the looks of it, I think it's the Flintstones.
Bluey, I think it is. The
Bluey, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. I've just seen it now that we've got a good one. Yeah. So Bluey, yeah. Some boys trying to trick us a little bit.
I always like to throw us out by slapping on a new paint scheme. It always makes it more fun for us commentators as you glance over and you see a car moving up and you go, oh, wait, who's that? I don't know who that is now. But some great looking paints out there again. Always nice to see the pretty cars out on track and the effort people put into getting these cars looking so nice out there for the racing.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking back up front, Carl, and those three of Martin, Jones and Pearson have actually started to put a nice little gap back on fourth place getter, fourth place sitter, Toby Stent. So, yeah, he's, these boys, the three at the front, are really pushing to try and get a good gap.
They are a little bit further down the pack. Barry Neal's just had a moment, just coming off the corner. He's just taking it a bit too low, and all of a sudden the car has got very loose on him. He's just made contact with the ball, but kept it going in the right direction. So that's cost him a few spots. We see Riley Curtis and Manny Ray on the screen just there battling away. Riley Curtis is wearing a very nice new paint job with the Performance E-Streaming logo on it as well. Very, very pretty looking car. We will play favouritism over that and wish him a good race. Neil Pearson's making a move on Ryan Jones up the front of the field. Neil Pearson making a beautiful move underneath Ryan Jones there, getting up into P2. Down the back straight, he just got so much more drive off the corner. Just absolutely sailed past number 11 of Ryan Jones. A little bit further in the pack, we've still got the racing heating up and still plenty of action going on. As all caution flag is out, we've got a caution flag out for the first time tonight. Who is that? Oh, Gary Wellman up into the wall. He's going the wrong direction. As the first caution flag flies here tonight at Dover. We'll have a look at that replay on lap 17. So catches Parry Anastakis there. So it's just in front of Luke Georgeson there. And they're coming down the straight. It just looks like just a slight bit of contact there from Georgeson on the rear, and it just unsettled Wellman's car. Just very narrow margins there. He's probably got the all clear from his spotter, I would say, in that respect. And it's just done that little tiny bit of contact, but that's all you need in this Cup car, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And there are a lot of cars in pit lane already, Carl.
They are pouring into pit road. Although a few cars have stayed out. That's Jason Martin, Dwayne Burns, Christopher Tomlin, Jai Schultz, Paul Jackson, and Phil Otto.
I must admit that new paint scheme of Jai Schultz is very out there with the colour of the purple and the pink and the teal blue. And so, yeah, it's a very nice looking car tonight.
Have you seen on the nose of it as well, Mark? It's a special paint job for tonight's race.
Okay. Let me see if I can get my camera up. And
as they are racing off pit lane at the moment. Looks like Dave Douglas and Shane Bowen have just both taken fuel. They've not worried about tyres. Meanwhile, everybody else looks like they've pretty much everybody else has taken a fresh set of boots and done a few little tweaks on the car. So here we have the 27, the newly christened 27 of Jai Schultz, of course. He's dropped the O off the end, and now it's 27.
Yeah, it's a very, very good looking paint, that, and with the nice little rock man on the front.
Exactly. It's got, I've completely forgotten the name of the monster.
That's why I said the rock man.
Miles the monster.
Miles,
Thank
that's
you,
it.
Miles the monster.
How can we forget that? It's a mile track and it's a monster, so of course it has to be Miles, doesn't it?
It's the most punny name as well. You'd think I would remember that kind of thing, but no, not tonight. The LCR eSport victory looking good though.
I've got an excuse. You haven't.
Oh, I have excuses as well, Mark. I just mine are just not self-inflicted. Anzac Day, a very busy day for veterans. Of course, we thank them for all of their alcohol consumption over the past couple of days.
Past week.
If you've been wondering where Mark is, he's been busy celebrating and having some good reminiscing and things like that. But well-deserved thing to do. Up the front there, it's Jason Martin and Dwayne Burns going to be starting off. Dwayne Burns, first night in the series in the Cobalt racing car. Very nice-looking Camry up the front. So we'll keep some fingers crossed here. He can get a good restart in the restart zone. We're coming up to it now. Jason Martin is going to be launching away here. Remember, they've not changed tyres. They are still on the set that they started on. There are a few cars that have in the background. We'll see what difference that can make as we are back to green flag racing here at Dover International Speedway for round number 11 for the ANZCAR Cup.
The rounds are definitely falling away very quickly this season. It doesn't seem like that long ago we were lining up to Daytona.
Very, very tight stuff in midfield. We're almost 4 or 5 wide down towards the back of the pack there. Very close racing down towards the back end. We've got a car around. Caution flag will fly as Mirko Dornak is sliding the wrong direction down at the front straight. As the caution flag is out again on lap 21 here at Dover.
This is really another one of those tracks, Carl, that it'll either the early part of the race will be a little bit of a caution fest until everyone settles down and gets those adjustments right, or it's the other end of the race that seems to happen here, and that middle section is normally a fairly good running, and we do get to see a lot of green flags laps.
And that's it. State of cautions, breeding cautions there as Mirko just ran up into Riley Curtis, and that just sent the car spinning around. And luckily, not too much damage by the looks of it to the 93, nor to anybody else in that incident. Just a few little taps here and there. So they should be able to continue on and get back to the restart. And I wonder if anybody's going to take advantage coming down pit lane just to top up on fuel a little bit here, just to get a fresh set of boots on or do some minor tweaks, things like that. We got Nigel Patton, Riley Curtis, Luke George, and Kobe Jordan, Gary Wellman doing that. The other thing this has done is it's given Harry Anastakis the chance to get a lucky dog for the Rogue Sim Sports entry. So that will give Parry the opportunity to get one of those laps back, and I'm sure he'll be hoping for another caution relatively soon that he's not involved in, so he can get right back on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's not too bad here. You tend to be able to get your lap back fairly quick if you can stay clean. Yeah, but once you start to fall 4 or 5 laps down, it starts to get really hard to get your laps back on these short tracks.
Especially later on in the race, we should say there's more cars that have become a lap down. Then it becomes harder and harder to get those lucky dog spots. So hopefully Parry will be able to take advantage of that, and we'll have all 35 cars back on the lead lap. Unfortunately, we have lost one car, and that is the 013 of Aaron Dillon. He had a computer issue on the starting grid, unfortunately. So we've still got a fairly long chunk of racing to go, as we have 176 laps remaining, so 175 on the restart should be. So 3/4 of this race to go. These laps will go down very quickly though once we get back to racing, but watch out on these restarts because they'll have they'll have a bit more temperature into the tyres, so they shouldn't be as squirrely on at the start. But when you start in these cars on cooler tyres, the pressure is down. The car can feel very, very loose very, very quickly, and that's often why we see the cautions, breeding cautions here at Dover. So just looking through the field as well, Mark, big movers and shakers at the moment. Jai Schultz is one of those people. He is up 16 positions, but the biggest mover of them all is Paul Jackson with his purple rims. 21 positions tonight for Mr. Jackson. He's having a very good run out there at the moment and doing those purple rims proud.
Yeah, definitely. Every time he doesn't run them, he seems to have a few issues, but whenever he puts them back on the car, he seems to be able to work his way through the field and get fairly good results. But in saying that too, he's also had some bad results this year, being mixed up in a few things late in the race.
I'm going to say Jai Schultz needs to get some purple rims on that car. It's just, with that paint job, I think it just kick it up a notch,
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see how that one will get running in the race. So pace car will be pulling in at this time around. The pace lights are out, of course, and we're going to go back to green flag racing. 25 laps in, 175 laps remaining here tonight. As I said, it is round number 11 of 36 of the ANZCAR Cup, and well, we're chipping away at the season, Mark. We are chipping away slowly but surely, and we are finally into the double digits of the races. So still a long way to go to the end, of course, but a lot of action still to come this season.
Yay, 29 to go.
Yes. We'll be even less enthusiastic in a couple of months. Into the restart zone we go. Jason Martin drops nicely, but Jai Schultz gets a fantastic start right behind. Stuck to the back of Martin. Dwayne Burns as well gets a really nice restart too. Keeps that car into contention. Christopher Tomlin up there as well. Chop working his way up into P4. He's got Paul Jackson just behind him.
And we can see Toby Stent there working his way up into the top 10, so just behind Pearson. So that's another good run for Toby. And Dave Douglas there behind him and Ryan Jones. But I just missed who was behind. It looks like it's Darren Lobb there rounding out the top 10. So some good drivers there back up into the top 10 and expecting to see where they should, expecting to see them where they should be.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Christopher Tomlin into the fence there. Just a big hard lick coming out of 4. Sorry, Carl.
No, that's right. Interrupt me away when stuff like that happens. I was about to say, interesting to see how the fresh tyres go because Pearson and Toby Stent are both on fresh boots. So is Ryan Jones. So they have got some fresh tyres underneath them. We'll see how much that can help them out right now. Of course, they can also change those tyre pressures a little bit, change the car to make it a little bit more comfortable on the handling, and we'll see if that pays dividends later on in this stint. But currently out front, they're running relatively quickly. On those slightly old tyres, they're keeping up a good pace at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. They've just got a nice little gap, just over a second back to, just under a second now back to Mr. Burns. So they are making those older tyres work really well for them. The advantage is that they will come up to temperature a little bit quicker than the new rubber, but they've just got to be careful because if they push a bit too hard, they'll burn them off a little bit quicker than those new tyres that the guys behind them have on.
See Neil Pearson there making quick work of Paul Jackson, and Neil Pearson is one of those drivers on fresh boots, and he's making it work because he's just set an incredibly fast lap time, 23 dead that time round, so he is up to speed quickly. Meanwhile, Jason Martin is about 23.1 out front, so it looks like those fresh tyres are starting to pay dividends as Paul Jackson gets a little bit squirrely off the corner, keeps it in the right direction though. Importantly, keeps it pointing the right way on track.
Yeah, just looking back at some of the other hard hitters, Andrew Dyson now up in the 16th, Darren McKenzie 17th, and his teammate Adam Malone in 18th. Ruben Phelps is still buried down in the field in 22nd, and our favourite driver, our favourite son, Matty Ray, is down in 22nd. Barry Neal, that was moving through the field earlier tonight, is now back down in 27th, and the gentleman racer, Norman Clark, in 28th.
That's it. We'll keep an eye through the field as the race continues. Meanwhile, up the front, Neil Pearson's making a move for P3 as he gets underneath Dwayne Burns. As the 119 has to succeed to the 62. Meanwhile, Toby Stent's closing in on that gap as well, as there is a heck of a fight going on between Christopher Tomlin and Joshua Carroll Walden at the moment as well. Some good action on track at the moment. We're seeing some great racing. It's what we expect here at Dover, though.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very angry pack from about Ryan Jones all the way back to Darren McKenzie. I think he's the last driver on that. Adam Malone is the last car in that group. So there'll be definitely won't be any love lost there between those guys in that pack with some very hard hitters. Daniel Heddershide, JCW, Lachlan Erclio and Dave Douglas and Dyson now up into that pack.
Yeah, that is a pack that is just solid racers all the way through. They are all hard racers as well. They will really, they will give you room if needed, but only by a cigarette paper. So there's going to be some hard racing going on in that group for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Up the front, the gap is closing now. Neil Pearson is just about half a second off the lead. He's closing up to Jai Schultz at the moment. Getting close to the 27. Meanwhile, the 21 is still in the lead. Jason Martin coming out for the unusual run in the Cup car. We don't see Jason out too much in this car, but it is Dover and it is Jason Martin, a place where he very much enjoys racing.
I was just wondering how much he was paid to pull that car out and dust off the cobwebs and probably rebuild it to see him out in this tonight. But it's good to see him out here, and he'll definitely give Pearson a run for his money.
Yeah, I think we won't see this battle until we get both cars on even tyres, because at the moment, Pearson has got a huge run. Those fresh boots are really helping him out. They are giving him just that little bit of extra grip. He's just able to take that little bit of confidence in the corners, and he's just carrying that speed. Watch Jason Martin now. Will he try and link up behind Pearson, try and keep as close as he can, or will he just keep running to his own pace? There's still a long way in this race to go, 160 laps, remember. So we have got a lot of racing still to come here tonight.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see the real battle until the last 50 laps. I think if we stay green, that's where it'll really start to heat up. But we will see some green flag stops, and unfortunately, we will see some guys go laps down under green flag conditions.
Well, it is the way. We will see those green flag, the lapped cars happening, but still a long way to go for that one, as there's only about a 12-second gap across the field. Harry Anastakis, the outlier, though, he's struggling with a very damaged Rogue Sim Sport car at the moment, so he's struggling, but he is lapped down as it stands. We see Dwayne Burns up and Stevie Duff making the move now on those fresher tyres, and then the two Natari cars are chomping at the bit trying to get through as well as they work their way up the field. Remember, a few of these cars have not changed their tyres, they're still on the tyres they started on, while others are on some much fresher boots, and that's why we're seeing a little bit of discrepancy in the pace of some of these drivers.
Yeah, I was just going to bring us back to this pack, and because they've really closed up on those lead cars, and they are closing in on the top three now.
Yeah, right on the tail of Jai Schultz. He's acting as a bit of a cork in the bottle as Ryan Jones makes the move a little bit further up. Toby Stent has moved up into P2 as well. The 189 moving up to the second step of the podium. Meanwhile, Ryan Jones is trying to chase down Jason Martin, a site that we've seen a few times this season. It is for P3 at the moment. A bit of an unusual place for Ryan to be sitting in. So he's going to be wanting to try and get back into that P2 spot, I'm sure.
But we've seen, as you said, Carl, I don't think we're going to see that happen until these guys all get back on level pegging on the same tyre set. The advantage is that the guys that haven't pitted yet will have a set of tyres up their sleeve. So that's probably will come down in handy if we end up in overtime, and they do have a run, a shorter run at the end. I'm sorry, I walked in late. What are we looking at fuel-wise, Carl?
Well, that's a good question to ask, Mark. It's a good question to ask for somebody that knows as well. I didn't take attention. The thing is, with some of these short tracks, fuel-wise is not as critical usually. They can usually go, oh, caution flag is out. Saved by the caution flag. Thank you very much.
And I will take a run down pit lane.
Okay, so trying to find out what's happened here to bring out the caution. Mirko Dornak has gone around in the 93, and was it Riley Curtis, was it? So there's been a separate incident. Sorry, I was looking. Oh no, that is the incident there. So Mirko Dornak's got loose on his own, and then Riley Curtis has come flying. Is that Riley? Yes. Riley's coming in and caught him side on, and that has sent the 93 off, into the sky and back to his home planet. Big accident there. And that has taken 2 cars out of this race, absolutely. And I'm sure there's a fair few other wounded vehicles out there from that flying car. I think Maddie Ray got caught up in that one. So did Barry Neal, Phil Otto, Gary Wellman. They have all got some serious damage on them. So big accident there, and that is going to bring everybody into pit lane to get some repairs done and get some fresh boots, things like that, a little bit of extra fuel. Just looking at the times, it looks like Pearson, Lobb, and Williams taken just one set of tyres only. Ryan Jones looks to have taken all 4, and we've got in the green room. Got down there Riley Curtis. We might just bring him up quickly and see how he's coping after that incident. Riley Curtis, would say welcome to the booth, mate, but would rather have you up here in better circumstances. Big accident there. First of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed, but what do you do?
It was a big moment there. It looks like just watching it back, looked like. Did you think maybe the car was going to be catching it and you'd be sneaking through, or did you just get a little bit unsighted?
Well, he'd gone up the track, and then at the pace you're at, you can't really stop on a dime, so he came back low at the last minute, and I nailed him.
Big hit there, unfortunately. Not what we want to see, because it was a nice-looking car out there tonight, up until that point.
Yeah, I don't really like this track much, but it actually started to feel really good on that run. Didn't feel like I was pushing the tyres too much, and starting to make a few moves to come through after making early changes. It ended like that.
No, a shame to see it over so soon, Riley. Obviously, hopefully we'll get you back up here in better circumstances soon. Just while we've got you, though, you're just saying it was feeling good out there for yourself after the changes. Just prior to those changes, was it a little bit tight, a little bit loose?
Much for muchness, it just didn't feel as grippy, so whether that was tyre changes, and then I came back in the second time and didn't take tyres and just made a slight spring change that tend to help it rotate a little in the middle of the corner, which I think just sets you up for a better drive off it. So not necessarily tight or loose, it just didn't rotate like I wanted it to.
Well, a shame to see you out so early. Hopefully we'll see you back in better circumstances and have you back in the booth for some better conditions in the future, mate.
Yeah, not what I wanted to start, like running the bloody B streaming colours, but we'll come back next week and have another go.
Absolutely. We'll see you back next week, Riley. Look, keep yourself well, and hopefully we'll... Oh, sorry, Matt.
Just quickly, Riley, what was your what's your fuel number there? What was it saying that you're going to get per tank?
To be completely honest, I hadn't quite looked at that yet because we had the 200 laps on the board, so I was like, I'm just going to drive around here. I'll take it where I can. I believe it was around the 70 laps under safety car. So I was probably going to come in a bit from that.
No, that's good. That gives us a good indication. We were just trying to work out what the range was.
Yeah,
You've made me run down pit lane for nothing.
You needed the exercise.
After this year, yeah.
Thank you so much, Riley. Hopefully we'll speak to you again in better circumstances soon, mate.
Cheers, Jen.
So I did go down, and it's between, as Riley said, about 71 to 75 laps of fuel. So if we can stay green, they will need to make one more stop.
Okay, we'll see how that one pans out. Looks like everybody is on the same fuel margin, but a lot of different tyre choices out there. As I said, the DPR car's just taking probably right side only. Meanwhile, Ryan Jones taking all 4 sets by the looks of things. So did Toby Stent, Daniel Hedeshire, Jason Martin, and everybody other than Aidan Schultz have all taken all the tyres.
Oh, wreck.
We've got cars round, and the caution flag will fly once more here. Who was that having an accident up the front of the field? A big accident here. As I see Aidan Schultz around. Looks like...
Aidan got tagged and got turned, mate. I'm not sure who caught him, but yeah, it just put Aidan sideways, and everyone else had nowhere to go, you know, at this joint. You know, once that track's blocked and a car completely sideways, it's story over.
Absolutely, and newcomer Dwayne Burns was the unfortunate car to get right in the first place. It looked like Adam Malone might have just caught the back of Aidan Schultz that started that wreck happening there, and that has caught a lot of cars out, unfortunately. So Brenton Henderson got a big whack in that one, as well as Tom Neal, Phil Otto, and Ruben Phelps. I think his night is done.
You can see there, Aidan completely sideways across the track and nowhere to go. Dave Douglas just got tagged there. Let's hope he's okay. Does he stay off the outside wall? Yeah, he does. But Ruben Phelps is the big loser. Big hit into that outside wall and takes the front end off the car. He definitely gets hit again somewhere, and that takes the front end off. Norman Clark involved.
A lot of cars involved in that accident. Unfortunately, we see Barry Neal as well getting caught up in that one as well. That's going to knock a few cars out of tonight's race, I'm sure.
Yeah, Brendan Henderson lost the front end, so that's bad luck. You can see there Barry Neal heavily into the back of Brendan Henderson. Paul Jackson gets tagged a couple of times there. Just not sure who caught him, but you can see there Norman Clark got that green and black 09 car locked up and had nowhere to go but into the side of Ruben Phelps. Matty Ray, who caught a little bit of damage on that last wreck and had a minute and a half to repair, which he's been able to do. He'll looks like he will get the lucky dog.
He has indeed. He's got back onto the lead lap, so that has brought him back out there. Parry Hanstakis is back on the lead lap as well, so he's managed to get his 2 laps back. Still getting quite a few repairs in that car. Ruben Phelps is managing to limp out of pit lane. He's trying to get out there ahead of the pace car so he can at least keep on the lead lap. But it's going to be a real race to pit exit. And does he make it? Oh, pit lane closes. He does not make it in time. That is unfortunate indeed for Ruben Phelps in the 086.
And I'm not quite sure. I think LA Racing may pin him there. But has he? Oh no, he hasn't crossed the green cone. So
Yeah, just got stopped in time, but he's going to have to go back out. He's going to lost a lap, and I think he's still got a fair few repairs to do on that car. So that's going to be a long night in that car tonight. Meanwhile, up the front, we have got a new leader. It is Ryan Jones in the 11. He is back in the lead, and well, first time leading tonight, I think, actually, for Ryan. So he's up at the front of the field. He has Neil Pearson right behind him with Toby Stead, Darren Lopp, Daniel Heddershide, Jason Martin, Andrew Dyson, Stevie Dubb, Stephen Williams, Joshua Carroll Walden, and Lachlan Oakley. That's our top 10 at the moment. A few drivers are, as I said, a few drivers have only changed one set of tyres, and that's Neil Pearson and Darren Lobb. The DPR cars just changed a single set of tyres that last stop. So they are trying a slightly different strategy there, so it'll be interesting to see how that one works out. And you wouldn't bet against them, would you?
no, definitely not. Just looking at the Nigel Payton's car, he's got some heavy damage on the nose of that thing. Norman Clark may have his night done. That right front's hanging off there. Tom Neal, some heavy damage down the left of that car and across the nose of that Toyota. Mirko looks like some heavy damage on the front. Mr. Burns, Dwayne Burns, has got heavy damage to the front, to the right, to the left, and to the rear of that Toyota.
Yeah, quite a few cars that are very heavily damaged, unfortunately. So that is going to be a painful night for them. I think we may have lost a couple of those cars in there as well. We've lost Brenton Henderson, Aaron Dillon, Riley Curtis. Aaron Dillon out from computer issues. So we are coming back to the restart now. We are coming into the restart zone. The green flag drops, and we go back to racing here at Dover International Speedway, and it's Ryan Jones in the lead. Toby Stead gets a good start on the inside, moves himself up into P2. Oh, as he gets a little bit loose off the exit of the corner, this is going to give Toby Stead the opportunity in the 189 to try and make a move for the lead of the race.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to see Ryan get back into that lead and get his first win or a win for the season, because he's definitely been the bridesmaid quite a few times this year.
Look, we're all secretly hoping he gets P2 tonight. That's the main thing.
I wasn't going to say that, but okay. But the odds are that he'll end up 2.
Oh dear, no, it's been... for a man that has been having so many podiums, he's been so dejected recently because he's just been missing out on those wins by the narrowest of margins. But right now he's having to defend that P2 from Daniel Heddershide. He's putting a lot of pressure on him. Andrew Dyson working his way up through the field quickly as well. Dyson moving his way back up, working his way up 29 positions so far in this race. He's sort of done the back to front challenge. He's had to start way down the field, and he's worked his way nicely up to the front as Heddershide just pushes underneath Jones. Jones goes wide, costs him a huge amount of time there. Ryan Jones plummets down the order as Daniel Heddershide makes the move. Andrew Dyson on the inside of Heddershide now. Jason Martin making the push as well.
Yeah, we've seen now that Hutt Martin's got that fresh set of rubber on. He's really pushing Dyson, and they are nose to tail. And as I say that, he gets a little bit of a push up track. But he's been able to hold that car down on that low line and make the moves inside, guys. As we can see him there making a move on Daniel Heddershide in the 035 car from Natari. But that move, he fights back on the outside. So Daniel's definitely got some speed in that car. And you see his teammate JCW in the 35 Mustang behind you trying to push him. They'll be looking at getting up under that tail of Dyson. But Dyson's really using the conventional racing like it up high, comes down across the apex and then back out wide to the wall. And that is the quickest way around this track.
That's it, and he just Jason Martin over his header shot just to move up a little bit more, so as to stop him being able to do that, or to get underneath him to stop him coming down so quickly. And he does that by just giving him a little nudge there, little bump and run from Jason Martin on Andrew Dyson. Nicely done. Does not make the move though. Just keeps the cars running. Very nicely done there. This is the kind of racing we love to see in stock cars. A little bit of bumping, a little bit of rubbing, but not wrecking each other.
No, and these guys here really raced around each other for a long time, so they know that what they can do and what they can't do, and that's really the style of stock car racing or NASCAR racing that we've come to see from these guys. Little bumps, little knocks, door to door. Take that left-hand mirror off so you can't see who's coming up the inside, and as you said, Carl, it's great racing.
Absolutely beautiful stuff, and that's dropped Dyson down a couple of spots, but it's moved Heddershot up into P2 at the moment. Toby Stent running away at the front a little bit. He's trying to extend his lead, but these two are not letting, well, the rest of the field actually are not letting that happen. Martin's putting all the pressure he can on Heddershot at the moment. JCW is doing the same to Dyson as he's trying to go down the inside. Doesn't quite make it, but Martin makes the move up into P2 as he gets loose on the exit. Ooh! Tristan Koch just blocks Jason Martin in. Big moment, but they all get through it.
Yeah, definitely. And Martin's really dropped down. He's back to 8th place there after that. So he'll have to fight his way back through those guys.
We're seeing the replay there. Tristan Koch was just in front of Toby Stent, checked up, and then Jason Martin had nowhere to go other than brake. He was either braking or wrecking there. Great job of braking and great situational awareness, because that could have been a huge wreck up the front of the field. Well done from everybody to avoid that happening.
And Martin's really lucky there because he was coming down low, and it would have been quite easy for him to pinch the left front or those inside wheels and see himself turned around.
Well, the way I watched the cars is I used the rear chase, so I effectively sitting on front of their nose looking backwards, and I was sitting on the front of Jason Martin's nose watching that one, and I thought Jason had got loose, and then all of a sudden a car appeared from nowhere. That was a scary moment indeed. Martin's dropped back, but he's now climbed his way back to the front. He's just got past Darren McKenzie. He's got Dave Douglas to get past now, and that's not going to be an easy feat. We know Dave is a hard racer. Meanwhile, the DPR cars that just took the 2 tyres are dropping back. They're not able to push with the rest of the cars, so it looks like that 2 tyre option did not pay off.
Yeah, I missed it, Carl. Did they take insides or outsides?
No idea. They just took 2 tyres, so I'm guessing it was outsides, because that's the set that usually wear the most. So they'd recently changed about 20 or so laps prior, so it was a bit of a gamble as all up the front. JCW just makes a bit of contact with Dyson. They get a little bit tight in the mid-corner. This checks them all up in front. JCW just gets a little tap, catches the car there, and keeps on running.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I'll let you talk through this, mate.
So they're just coming through the corner, and just on the exit of the corner here, you'll see JCW just going up a little bit, just washes up on the side of Dyson, and that just unsettles the car. He just catches it perfectly, keeps it in the right direction, does not wreck, and now falls to the back of that line.
Yeah, I'm just looking at in pit lane. Unfortunately, the 83 of Matty Raymond is in pit lane with heavy damage again.
That is a shame for him. That wheel is not looking like it's pointing in the right direction at all.
And just as I speak, we see Matty Ray come out of the care centre, so we'll pull him up. Got a copy there, Matty.
Hey, g'day boys. How you going?
Good, mate. Better than what you are tonight.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, are you, mate?
Mate, we've just seen pictures of the Mr. Sheen car in pit lane with heavy damage on the right. What happened? We actually missed it.
Oh, right. Yeah, a couple of laps after the restart there. I'm not sure. I think it might have been Barry Neal, one of the Atta cars. Got a bit loose and slammed into the backstretch fence, and just 10 cars in front of coming with nowhere to go, and no one touching brakes. And it's, yeah, we're done for the night. It's destroyed the right front corner, all the toe link, everything. It's mangled. So happens, but that's racing.
Yeah, unfortunate, mate. Not the way you would have wanted to see the Monster Mile eat you. But hey, there's always next week. So back into the trucks on Monday night, and then another 2 races with the ANZCAR boys through the week.
Yeah, that's it. We got Warriors on Saturday night too,
Yep.
don't we? Yeah, beautiful.
400 at Kansas.
Kansas, yeah, I don't mind that place. So yeah, we're plenty of racing. We'll get back to it, back on the horse. Try and help the boys out as much as we can tonight, though.
Yeah. Anything to add, Carl, or ask?
Oh no, I was just about to say it looked really like a bit of an unlucky spot to be in as well, getting caught up in that incident. But hopefully we'll speak to you in better circumstances next time, mate.
Yeah, it's just similar sort of thing that's been run. You've seen it yourself, mate. It's just way too much aggression, way too early. I don't understand it really sometimes, but that's how the cookie crumbles. We'll get on to the next race.
Fingers crossed we will have you back up here in the booth for proper times at the end of the race.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks, boys. Cheers.
All right. Thanks for your time, Matty. Thanks for calling in.
See you, man.
So I was just about to say, before we brought Mr. Matty Ray up, I'd just gone back and seen that incident, and yeah, it was just a really unlucky spot, and yeah, just really wrong place, wrong time situation, sadly, for the 83.
Yeah, unfortunately for Matty this year, he's had some really great results, but then there's been a great deal of bad results for him. Just being mixed up, wrong place, wrong time, like that one there, Carl.
Yeah, it's been a year of his sort of usual MO is just keeping clean throughout the races and just keeping out of trouble. And unfortunately, this season there's been a lot of trouble in the pack, and it's just been catching him out. So it's a bit of a shame, but it's how racing goes sometimes.
Yeah, look, people say, oh, well, you should qualify further up the field. But Matty Ray's not one of those people. Matty, as you said, just likes to sit back and take his time, work his way up into the race. And we normally see him in that top 15 by the end of the race.
Well, we've seen some good qualifying runs from him, taking pole position and getting some good top starts this year. But yeah, he does like to sit a little bit further back and just have a bit of a calmer race. And it's not really been paying off recently, which is a real shame. But when it does pay off, it really pays off very well. So it does rely a little bit on luck. And this season, the luck's not been his way.
No, definitely not. And then again, we can say that about a few other drivers in the field. As you said, Ryan Jones just hasn't been able to crack that top step yet. Paul Jackson has had some great top 10 finishes this year, but his misfortunes outweigh his fortunes.
Jaron McKenzie as well has had some connectivity issues and some outside circumstances taking wins away from himself.
Yep, an unfortunate one there. Was it Jason or Josh Mickelmore where we see him drop out on that last lap there, and also a penalty for one of them on the last lap. So there's been some hard luck stories, but there's also been some great wins and good stories for drivers this season so far, and we're only in round 11. What's the next 29 hold for us?
That is it. Usually with luck it goes 50-50 on you, and unfortunately it's been very front-loaded this season for a few drivers, but I'm sure the tides will turn later in the season. Luck is one of those things that goes both ways of course. Sometimes it's bad, but sometimes it's good, and when the good luck comes, then the good things happen. We've got Norman Clark back out on track, and we're seeing Gary Wellman as well. So a few cars have got back out there and are running still after getting a fair whack of damage. Gary Wellman, the sim boy in the 45, he's currently the first car lap down. He's trying to keep that position just in case there is a caution, so he can get that lucky dog. Currently got 22 cars on the lead lap. Steve McLennan, is the first of those cars. Another new face to the series, and keeping that car out of trouble by the looks of things, and relatively clean and keeping it in a good position.
Yeah, it's good to see new blood, as we said earlier on in the season, a few rounds ago. Some new guys coming into the league and not going out and not doing silly things. They're just settling into the season, finding their feet, and really putting on some good shows too.
Absolutely. A bit of a moment for Dwayne Burns, who's just had a big slide off of turn. Oh, just tyres gone maybe? What's gone on there? Looks like maybe a tyre's gone or something. So that car's just all of a sudden just not wanted to work and just gone on straight.
Well, it is a Toyota.
Strange, no. It's coming into pit lane now with Neil Pearson. So Neil Pearson is coming in. This is early for Pearson.
Neil was really starting to drop. I think
Yeah.
whether he took 2 tyres or he took fuel only in the last pit stop, it really hurt him. He was he was really starting to drop there, which is why he's coming now to pit.
Yeah. So, well, he's not been able to take it those extra laps, so he'll have to come in again for fuel. So this is a off strategy, off kilter for Neil Pearson. So we'll have to see how that one goes. Right, as I said, I don't know what happened to Dwayne Burns, because it looked like something. It just looked like a tyre maybe went on his car, because that thing just did not want to steer all of a sudden, and it had a bit of an odd moment. So are we seeing some tyres get to their limits maybe?
Yeah, from personal experience, Dover is one that regularly get the right front down to 0, and all of a sudden it just doesn't want to turn. Of course, you don't know when it gets down to 0 until all of a sudden it doesn't turn.
Well, you know when it gets down to 0 because you hear a big pop, and then all of a sudden you find the ball coming towards you.
That might have been what happened there, yeah, I think. Yeah, from personal experience, I've always done it at Dover if you go long on those tyres.
Yeah, it's easy to catch yourself out with that kind of thing, so I wonder if that's what's happened, because there was some damage to that car as well, so not helping it in the long run. Up the front, we've had a change of lead, though, because it's Andrew Dyson in the lead of this race, up 32 spots. And just going back a little bit to see where that happened, because he's building up a fairly decent lead as well now. Just drove around the outside of Toby Stent on lap 93, and is building up a fairly healthy lead now at the front of the field. So he is sitting in a good position by the looks of things.
Yes, it is.
Yep,
Looks like he may have touched the outside wall, Matt.
Yep, he might have lost that right front as well. Let's jump back and replay.
Just having a bit of look. Ryan Jones is coming into pit lane as well. Yeah, that front right is looking not correct.
Yeah, something caused it to snap out there. Oh, he got loose in the corner and then just overcorrected and snapped into the wall.
I was just watching it come into pit lane as well, and that right front just stopped rotating as soon as he got close to the brakes as well. So I wonder if that was a tyre as well, just getting towards the end of its limits. And he's also another driver that's got some damage on that vehicle.
Yeah, we can see him. He's turning the steering wheel left and right just to see if he's got steering response.
That's usually a good sign that either they've damaged the steering or they've had a tyre just decide to disappear on them. We haven't seen too many tyres blows this season. It's been a while since we've last had a big spat of it, but tonight could be the night. So we'll see how that one plays out, and see who can take advantage of it, see who can get through this one. We're on lap 102, so 98 laps still remaining, so still a long way in this race to go, and they're still going to have to make... they still really can't make it to the end on fuel from here, can they?
No, they will need to stop another time, and I think you'll probably find some of them may go longer on this fuel stop, or they need to get to 70, 75 to play it safe.
Yeah, and that's a long way away from here, especially if tyres are starting to get a little bit on the ropey side. As Neil Pearson is just scything his way through the field now on those fresh boots. He's a couple of laps down though, so he's desperately trying to get back at least to on just 1 lap to go, 1 lap down, I guess, because being 2 laps down is a very awkward position to be in, especially if the caution flag flies.
Yeah, just looking back through the field, Ryan Jones 2 laps down, but he's got some great speed in that car at the moment too. So he'll be trying to get back to only being the 1 lap down. But as we said, Carl, once you get that beyond that 1 lap, it becomes very hard, as we've got 3 cars now on being a 1 lap down, as Gary Willman just goes 2 laps down.
That's it. I get the feeling we're going to see cars coming into pit lane in the near future, just out of worry of their tyres. You get that feeling from a couple of people that they just might want to try and get some fresh boots on, try and get a little bit of a run here. But obviously they want to make it so they can just have the 1 stop left to go. Of course, they don't want to have to make an extra fuel stop because that's going to cost them dearly.
Especially if well, in that next fuel stop, they'll probably try and get down so that's about 60 something laps left in to run. So they've got a little bit in the tank should we go into overtime, which at Dover is quite possible.
That is it.
So if I'm just doing some sums here,
I'm just working out myself, Mark, and I think they're in an awkward spot where they sort of almost have to make 2 stops to get to the end from here anyway if it goes green.
yeah, I'm just looking at the tyre stints. A lot of these guys now are up on the 60 plus laps on their tyre stint. So do they want to stick it out there and take that risk of that right front blowing? Oh Jesus! And they haven't slowed down a great deal. They're only a second off their best laps. A lot of these guys, like Andrew Dyson's best lap is a 23.1, and he's still circulating. His last lap was a 24.2. So it's really only a second slower than what his best time is. And he's just clocked over 62 laps on that set of tyres.
Yeah, it's getting to that awkward position where drivers are going to have to really... They're probably going to want to take it as long as possible just in case that caution flag does fly. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. I just wonder who's going to decide to come down pit lane in the next front runners. Dave Douglas decides he's going to pull the trigger now. So they're going to need to come down pit lane in about 8 or so laps time, we believe, on fuel.
Yeah, they're not going to... Dave's going to fall short if he takes a full tank of fuel, 75 laps. That only gets him to 189. So he's definitely going to have to stop again.
Yeah, I think a few of these drivers have just decided, yeah, they're going to need to make 2 stops, so they're coming in a little bit early to get those fresh tyres on to make that bit of a run. If we go green to the finish here, well, first of all, it'd be great. I love green flag running. But second of all, it's going to really just change the strategies for these drivers. And those ones that came in a little bit earlier could really start to have a good advantage for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just... Yeah, most of these guys are going to have to stop twice.
It's going to be how long they can go into this stint. They need to go 15 odd laps 10 more laps to make it to 75 laps, and then cut it in half. And what we were talking about, 70 laps on fuel. So they're going to have to do some monster fuel saving. Of course, they did run a couple of laps under pace car conditions, so that does help a little bit in the fuel mileage. But it's is it 5 laps worth of fuel or not?
It's a hard one. So just some race stats at the moment. We've completed 116, and it's taken us 34 minutes so far. So that's a fairly quick race here at Dover. So we should be done just under an hour, as I touch wood here in the booth, to make sure we don't have too many more cautions.
And that's it. We get some good green flag running. This race will be over in a couple of blinks of an eye, as the clouds are starting to settle over the track a little bit. Not easy to see because we're focusing on the cars, but track temperature is not going to go up whatsoever, and that's going to bring the temperature down a little bit. That could really help out the tyres for the last stint.
So the track temp has dropped. It's now down to 89 Fahrenheit. So it has dropped a few degrees since the start of the race. So yeah, you could be right, Carl. It won't be as hard, but as I said, the cement here is hard on tyres.
It is indeed, and it's something we haven't really alliterated on too much this season, as Lachlan Urquio is battling with Joshua Carroll-Walden at the moment. Got a good fight on a track, and I'll save my moment for a couple of seconds as Lockie makes the move there and moves it up into P4 as he is working his way through. Dave Douglas, of course, on fresh tyres, just scything his way past. He's able to take any line he wants, and the number 10 does that indeed, just goes flying through. Lachlan Urquio looks to have some good speed in that car. In this latter stage, so that's one to watch out for in this race because he's got some good pace in long stints. But we, of course, this year will be running the races that are run at 2 times speed, of course. So we see a little bit more change in the race condition as the race goes on. So it brings us some interesting. It does mean that the race does get a little bit more change in temperatures and climate and time and things like that. So it does change things up as Toby Stent is coming into pit lane, as well as Daniel Hedderscheid. Stent locks up a little bit there. That's going to cost him a couple of seconds at least, but he has to get his marks perfectly here. It's crucial to get these green flag stops done perfectly. They're not going to be able to make it to the end of the race on this, so they're going to have to come in for a splash and dash if we go green. How long can the rest of those cars keep it out for?
Dyson's the worst off. He's on lap 75 at the moment. Then Lachlan is on 74. Jay Schultz is lap 75. Darren McKenzie, lap 74. Barry Neal is on lap 68. Adam Malone and Darren Lobb, Jason Martin and Stephen Williams are all done 75 laps on this stint. So definitely going to see these guys come in. But we've seen too in the last couple of weeks, Stephen Williams has been able to get some extra laps there.
Jason Martin, Darren Lobb coming in. Looks like we might have Lachlan Urquio coming in as well. And these are just, they are laps shy. They're going to have to do a little bit more saving. Meanwhile, Andrew Dyson has timed this perfectly. He's going to have a nice, he's going to be able to make it to the end on fuel without any problems at all.
And he's in this lap too. So he's been able to get one extra lap out of that fuel tank. Same with Stevie Williams. He's been able to get that one extra lap. So I think you may find that Williams and Dyson have been talking to each other. Oh, we've got a car around in pit lane. That's Adam Malone.
Oh, disastrous stop there for Malone. Not what you need to have happen there. As I'm just going back to have a little bit of look, Mark. If you'd like to just continue on for a second. I just need to check something.
Yeah. And we can now, Barry Neal inherits the race lead. Although,
I'm just trying to see what happened to
Oh.
Malone here in pit lane. I think there's going to be some contact. Phelps is coming out. And
oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I just missed it. I just switched over to Barry Neal as he came into pit lane, and he was all crossed up also, Matt. So I don't know if you can find what happened to him there too. He was a lap or two later after Malone.
stop back and have a look. It's not letting me come back. There we are.
There it is.
No, Barry Neal's just coming into pit lane. He's just coming off pit lane now, but he made a pit stop a little bit later than everybody else. He sort of made a quick stop down pit lane, and that's put him off sequence of everybody else. So he's now able to make it to the end from here without any problems at all. Neil Pearson, though, is going to be taking back the lead of this race with Ryan Jones in P2. As the pit stops have had their effects and everybody's come back out on track on fresh boots with their fuel tanks filled. So we're going to have to see a few cars stop. So remember, Neil Pearson's going to have to stop again. So is Ryan Jones. They have to make another pit stop. They will not be able to make it to the end from here. Neither will Dave Douglas. Aidan Schultz will be another driver that has to make it down pit lane again. Toby Stent, Daniel Hendershide might be a little bit touch and go on fuel. They might be a little bit problematic. Andrew Dyson looks to be pretty secure at making it home to the end without too many problems. Lachlan Okwio, Jai Schultz as well should be relatively unfazed by that as well. A little bit of question mark over Joshua Carroll Walden. So this is going to be interesting to see how this one unravels.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. Gary Willman, he's a lap down. I don't think he's going to make it. He's on 27 laps already. Paul Jackson's definitely going to have to pit. He's on a 48 laps, so he's going to have to pit, but he'll be able to make it home. And he's a lap down, but he's the last car on that one lap down.
Yeah, it's going to shake out. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out at the end here. Of course, a late caution could bring everybody back into action. What this has done, though, is it's given track position for Pearson and Jones out the front. They've got a fairly nice little lead over Andrew Dyson because they have those fresh tyre advantage. Meanwhile, Andrew Dyson has sort of come out in no man's land. He's between Jones and Stent. Toby Stent sort of in a bit of nowhere with Dave Douglas just behind him. So it shapes out a little bit interesting here. But as I said, if we go green to the end, it's going to be fascinating to see who worked out their maths properly.
Yeah, it definitely will be interesting to see who's done the maths, whose crew chief has been right on the figure. So that's just to play the wait and see.
We will, and of course it's something we like to alliterate on as we're talking about sim racing, but the drivers, you know, they're usually having to do the maths on their own, you know, especially the solo flyers out there. You do have a couple of AI assistants sometimes, and you have a little bit of help sometimes from things like Crew Chief, a third-party system, but you generally have to do the working out yourself. So you're driving around a track at 280 odd kilometers per hour while trying to do maths to back count your fuel data so you can make it to the end. It's not an easy thing to do.
No, definitely not. And again, as you said, Carl, it depends on whether you get caution laps or anything. As we see Dyson absolutely fly up the inside of those cars there.
He's coming up behind Neil Pearson, his teammate now. Contact into the wall goes. Who was that? Looked like Luke Georgeson, maybe? It was Luke Georgeson. Yeah. And that car is night over for the Area 51 car. He's going to have to pull that one over, and I think he'll have to take a tow back to the lane. And that will not bring out the caution. But that's his night over and done with. A shame because he was having a solid run inside the top 20 there. But up the front, it's Ryan Jones in the lead now. So we'll have a look at that. We'll take a bit of a look-see at that. And yeah, big incident there and a lot of damage. That's his engine over and done with, I'd say. Meanwhile, up the front, we've got a movement position, and that's the lead of the race happening as Andrew Dyson makes the move on Ryan Jones. Toby Stent hot on his heels as well. Stent working his way through, carving his way up, makes the move up into P2. Toby Stent on a flyer at the moment.
That car has actually definitely got some speed in it. Although that last lap of Dyson's was a 23.3 and Stent was a 23.4.
He was having to pass about 4 different cars though on that lap mark, so...
Yeah, I'm just looking at that now. And Jones was at 24.2, so Jones is nearly a second slower than Stent and Dyson.
Yeah, it's now they're in some clean air, we'll be able to see what lap times they can really do. Remember, Ryan Jones, he's on tyres that are about 40 odd laps old, so those tyres have done at least 25, 30 laps more than those cars in front of him.
So Jones would have been really hoping that last incident there with that car coming down, hitting the wall, would have been looking for a caution, because that would have put him in prime position for the run to the end of the race.
It would have done. A little bit further back, Josh Schultz is on a flyer at the moment in the 27. He's just getting past Lachlan Urquio. He is absolutely pushing that car, gunning it at the moment, and really getting up some pace. Lachlan Urquio looks to be like he's just saving a little bit for the latter ends of this stint. So I'd say keep an eye on that car if we keep on green. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson's coming into pit lane.
Again, this is unusual for him. So
well, he wouldn't have made it to the end. Oh wait, it wasn't Neil Pearson, sorry. It was another car. Sorry, it was a red car going down. Oh no, it was Neil Pearson. He's just coming out of pit lane, sorry. Yeah, he's just been through pit lane. So remember, he could not make it to the end, Mark. So he's having the field.
Yep.
Ryan Jones will have to come in pit lane as well in the near future. He'll only have about 20 more laps to do that in. So I think Neil Pearson has decided to pull it in early to try and make some time up on the fresh tyres.
But that's really hurt Neil, because that's putting him 2 laps down. Now remember, his teammate currently is in the lead of the race, and he does not have to stop again.
He should be fine to make it to the end. Remember though, that last stint, the final couple of laps on that stint, well, the first couple of laps we should say, were under pace car conditions. So there is a slim chance that he might be a tiny bit light on fuel, but I feel like he's probably safe to the end.
Yeah, but we've seen in the past last few weeks, both Dyson and Williams been able to just stretch that fuel tank a little bit longer. I don't know if they've got a bigger fuel line in there, but they've just been able to stretch that tank by a lap or 2.
They have. As we're just looking a little bit further down the field, and just at the top of your screen there, the 080 Cody Jordan up there at P17 having a solid run inside the top 20 at the moment. He is just ahead of Paul Jackson and trying to catch up to Gary Wellman, getting closer and closer. So could be a solid result there for the inside lane production car.
Yeah, it'd be good to see Kobe get a good result. He's another one of our drivers this year that has just not been able to crack that top 15 too many times. But he's been thereabouts, just outside that top 15.
Yeah, it could be a strong finish tonight. Jason Martin is fuel saving heavily, I think, as I was pretty sure I had a big clutch going on in that car, and it would explain why his pace is a little bit off as well. So just going back to have a little look-see at that one. As, yeah, it's not doing it every lap, but now and again he's having a big old clutch into the corners. So just saving a little bit of fuel in that car at the moment, keeping it up in 5th gear. just using as little engine, with few RPMs as possible. Will he clutch it again this time round? No, he's not going to worry this time round. So maybe he's just got enough fuel in there, but very distinctive sound of the engine dropping RPM. And yeah, that says to me that it is going to be very tight to the end of this race.
Yeah, definitely.
Ryan Jones in pit lane.
There's definitely a few guys here that are going to have to fuel save a fair bit. So just have to wait and see, and who the fat lady smiles upon.
Absolutely, it's going to be it's going to be a tricky one to the end. As I said, there's a few cars that are touch and go. There's a few cars that looking is safe-ish, but well, as we know, sometimes we can get thrown off a little bit by the fuel. And yeah, there we go. Jason just dropping it down there as well, just clutching it in the start of the corner. And again, he's just trying to save as much fuel as he can in the number 21. So he's keeping up the speed as well, and that's the crucial thing. That's a very important thing. Jai Schultz is coming down pit lane, and Jai was one of those cars that I thought would be safe. So that's telling me that a lot of people are not confident to get to the end on fuel.
So I'd say we're going to have to see Martin back down pit road too. Then, if he's trying to save fuel now.
Well, he's trying to save fuel now, so he doesn't have to save it later in the stint, I'd say. So himself and Lachlan Urquio were both really being cautious in this stage of the race, just setting the times. They're not going slow, but they are just saving fuel a little bit, and that tells me that they're trying to save throughout the stint rather than trying to save a little bit at the end. So they're trying to have some fuel in the car to give them a chance at the end. So they've decided at the start of this stint to do the fuel saving. So they've got it in their mind that that's what they need to do to get to the end. So it'll be interesting to see who can make this work, because we've got 44 laps remaining. Dave Douglas is down pit road. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, Mark.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm just trying to work this out. 40. Yeah, I think Martin may have to come back down pit road. I think he may be a leader or two short.
Jason Martin's one lap more than Lachlan Urquio, who's 1 lap more. Well, it's just about 1 lap more than Andrew Dyson. So those 3 cars, I think, will make it to the end, but they are saving early in their stint to make sure they can make it to the end. That's why they're not quite got the pace as they did earlier on. I think everybody else is just going flat out and just seeing what they can do.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be down to the dregs in the tank, I think.
And I think because you've got likes of Stent and Heddershide pushing at the moment, and as well as Lob, those cars are pushing, and that's causing Dyson to still need to push a little bit up the front, which is going to be causing him to not be able to really save on fuel. So he might have that 1 lap extra fuel in the tank, but he could well use that up. So it could still be a race where we we could see some real crazy stuff on the last lap or two here. We could see a few cars running out of fuel, and a few cars really making a great job at the end by having a little bit of extra gas in the tank.
Yeah, it's definitely a edge of the seat race. So we've seen a few guys this year, or this season so far, really push that fuel tank, and 1 or 2 actually running out as they cross the line.
Well, it's easy to do. I mean, you know, it's easy to get caught up in a race and just use a little bit too much fuel, and it's easy to use more fuel than it is to save it. So that's why those drivers a little bit further down the pack are absolutely saving as much as they can. They're driving like they're paying for the fuel, whereas everybody else is sort of going for it. The one car to watch out for here is Barry Neal. He should be relatively good to make it to the end on fuel. and he's just ahead of Urquio at the moment. So keep an eye out for Barry Neal. He could well find himself up in the lead of this race, or at least up to P2 at the end of that.
Yeah, it'll be good to see Barry up there. He been a little time since we've had a chat to him up here in the booth post race, so it wouldn't be bad to see him back up there and yeah, have another good result.
That is it. You've got JCW up there as well, but I think he's going to be a little bit too tight on fuel. Darren McKenzie could be another one of those drivers. He's got a lot of experience underneath his belt. He could be one of those drivers that just keeps the fuel mileage in there. But that battle is very close between McKenzie, Neal and Urquio. Those three cars are almost touching each other out on track. So that's going to be an interesting little battle to keep our eyes on. And they've got to be careful not to battle too hard, because obviously if they're fuel saving, they don't want to fight too much.
That's right. And the other question too now, Carl, with under 40 laps to go, is are we going to see a new race winner, or will we see to lock a new start that one again, a new race winner to lock in a playoff position, or are we going to see another repeat winner?
Well, that's it. Currently, drivers with the W next to the name of Daniel Heddershide, Toby Stent, Neil Pearson and Andrew Dyson. Those drivers have secured themselves spots in the playoffs, in the race for the chase for the cup. So they will be, they've got a little bit less to worry about. They can relax a little bit. They still want to win a race though. They still want to go there. So it would be nice to see somebody else lock themselves in and secure themselves a spot into the chase. Just looking in the top 10, Shane Bowen having a solid run out there tonight in the Cobalt car. One of the other Cobalt Racing cars with Dwayne Burns, who was out early. But Shane Bowen is having a solid run up there in P10 and could well secure a fairly decent finish for tonight's race. Phil Otto just sitting behind him in P11. It's nice to see the number 1 up there, the Kingsman Racing car of Phil Otto, up inside the top 20. And, well, it'd be nice to see Phil have a good finish as well, another regular of the series. Toby Stent is in pit lane. So Toby Stent could not make it on fuel, so he's coming in now to swap some tyres, get some fuel, make it to the end. This is going to be a really close finish for those guys that are trying to stick it out there. I feel like we are going to see a really, really tight race to the end here, Mark.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be come down to those last final laps, I think. Some real fuel saving going on out there at the moment, as you said, with Martin and Urquio. Darren McKenzie, Barry Neal in good spots. Phil Otto has come in, and at the moment he's the second car a lap down, so he'll be praying for a caution. But if a caution comes out, I think we will see a lot of guys in pit lane for tyres and fuel.
Yeah, I don't see anybody sitting out there on these old tyres. There's not much point. You might get lucky with you might get lucky in some way, but with this many laps to go, unless it's the green-white checker, it's not worth sticking out there and gambling it on the old tyres, I think. So everybody would come in for tyres. But seeing we've only got 9 cars left on the lead lap, that's really going to shake things up if it happens. Hopefully, though, we see a green flag to the end here. Daniel Heddershide in pit lane as well as Darren McKenzie. Yeah, this is telling me that they are really not confident to make it to the end. So I think we're going to see everybody needing to make at least one more stop, other than possibly Dyson and Neal. You might see Urquio just squeak through. Jason Martin's going to be so very close. He might have to, just take a big sip of vodka and breathe it down the fuel line and spit in the carby to get it across the line.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because all these guys that are coming in pit lane, unless Dyson comes in, they are going to be trapped a lap down. Unless we get a caution.
That is it. and well, people are being very steady out on track, so cautions are not really not looking like they're going to present themselves. So it's going to be, it's going to be an interesting race on strategy tonight. It's going to be who can get the best strategy call is going to be finding themselves in a good position tonight. Who times it perfectly could find themselves in a fantastic spot for the finish of this race. We've got Darren Lobb up in P2, the South African contingent of SRM, sitting up behind Andrew Dyson at the moment. The black the black DPR car, sorry. Yeah. Too many teams. Sorry, too late, too many teams. I was looking just behind him. He's just got Ruben Phelps right behind him, who's managed to get back out in the SRM car, even though that thing's a bit battered and damaged. Having a good recovery driver up in P15, but nice to see Darren Lobb up in a decent position, and it'd be nice for him to get a good finish, but I don't think he's going to be able to make it to the end on fuel.
The other good thing there, Carl, is still showing on my screen that Toby Spencer's lap down, but I believe he is now back on the lead lap.
He's very much a lap down still, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought my live timing may have had one of its moments and decided not to update itself. But, okay, so it is still working.
Mark, Daniel Heddershide looks like he has got himself a penalty. He's had to come in back down pit lane, and that might be his race over and done with. That's going to be a painful one for him. A penalty in green flag runs are never fun.
Yeah, definitely. And that looks like it's put him 5 laps down, so he's definitely not going to be in that top 10 tonight.
Just looking at Lachlan Urquio in the 42 SRM car, and that thing is clutching like there is no tomorrow as Neil Pearson just goes flying through. Barry Neal just up ahead as well. And of those drivers just absolutely trying to get to the end with as little fuel as possible. So there's a lot of different strategies going on. Neil Pearson's just sailing past these cars. He can make it to the end without any problems. And keeping an eye on our leader as well, Andrew Dyson, he doesn't really seem to be worrying about putting the clutch in. He's pretty comfortable by the looks of things.
20 laps to go, and he's done 56 laps on this tank, so that puts him right on the cusp.
Yeah, he's going to be on the bubble. And as I said, that last stint, there was that little bit of caution at the beginning of it that may have just skewed their fuel numbers. So will we see anybody caught out by that tonight? That's the question. We've still got 7 cars on the lead lap. Shane Bowen, the final car there. Adam Malone's trying to get his lap back as quick as possible, but he's still got a long way to go to catch up to Andrew Dyson. So, yeah, we should be in for an interesting little finish here. Darren McKenzie, fastest car on track at the moment. He's using that fuel and fresh tyres to its advantage. Trying to work himself back up into the top 10. Currently, the top 10 is Andrew Dyson in the lead still. Having a solid run in the 41 with Darren Lobb in P2. We've got Barry Neal sitting in P3 at the moment with Joshua Carroll-Walden in 4th. Lachlan Urquio is in the 5th spot. He's just actually got ahead of Joshua Carroll-Walden, so swap those 2 positions around. Just making me a liar. Jason Martin working his way up into 6th spot. He's still plugging away at it. Shane Bowen, the final car on the lead lap for Cobalt Racing, having a very nice run out here tonight, well inside the top 10. Then we drop down. It's Adam Malone in 8th position, the first car a lap down, with Neil Pearson sitting in 9th, and Ryan Jones rounding out the top 10. So a bit of a race going on between Carroll-Walden and Urquio now. Those two starting to battle out a little bit as JCW just gets past Urquio once more. And it's almost a race of who can be bravest on the clutch, who can save as much fuel and keep it going around as fast as possible.
Well, Lachlan's only done 61 laps on this tank, and JCW has done 64. So obviously, the way these two are racing, not too worried about fuel out from here out because, as you've seen, Lachlan has been able to save with that heavy clutching for both ends of the oval.
That's it. You say they're racing without too many worries, but both of those cars are heavy on the clutch as they're in the corners. Those things are not making any engine noise as they drift through there. That's given Barry Neal the chance to pull out a fairly decent gap now as well. So he's worked his way up into P3 and has got a nice gap between himself and Lachlan Urquio. Barry Neal is the car to watch out for here. Shane Bowen in pit lane. Bowen could not make it either.
So we will see him drop, and he'll probably may even drop out of the 10. And as I say that, he does on my timing screen. He drops down to 11.
Going to drop way down the order. Might be able to keep it within the top 20, but it's going to be a tricky thing because there's a lot of cars that are in those spots. We'll see how that one goes. Phil Otto was just behind him in the race when he pitted, so say dropping down to about 17th or 18th spot maybe for Bowen, as Phil Otto does indeed get past. We've got 10 laps remaining here, and well, it's nail-biting stuff for the end here. Who is going to be able to make it? Who is not?
Just looking back down through the field, Carl, Hayden Schultz has been able to make it up.
Sorry, Darren Lobb is in pit lane.
Okay, so will we see Dyson have to give up that lead and come down pit lane?
That is it. That's another one of those cars that has not looking like it's going to make it to the end, and another one that needs to come in on fuel. Sorry, Mark, what were you about to say?
I was going to say, Hayden Schultz, after being involved in that heavy accident early on, has been able to make his way back up into 15th spot, even though he's 2 laps down.
JCW in pit lane. Carol Walden is back in pit lane, and I get the feeling Aiden's probably going to have to come into pit lane as well. So he is looking a little bit close on the fuel. So JCW could not make it. We saw him fighting it with Urquio. That must make Urquio feel a little bit queasy and thinking, oh, this is going to be hard. So we are down to 4 cars on the lead lap, and it could well be 3 because Jason Martin has Andrew Dyson on his tail at the moment, just for fighting it out for who can stay on the lead lap. And as Andrew Dyson goes down, 3 cars left on the lead lap here. That's Dyson, Neal, Urquio. Jason Martin just drops down to that position, but looks to be fighting back a little bit just to stay on the lead lap. Martin, of course, stopped a lap or 2 earlier than Dyson, so he's going to be a bit more worried on fuel, but we have heard Jason Martin saving fuel all race long. So this is the battle to stay on the lead lap. We've got 5 laps remaining here. It's Dyson in the lead, Barry Neal in second, Urquio in third, Jason Martin trying to fight to stay on the lead lap. But he's got to be careful not to use up too much fuel, of course, because he's going to be so close to the margin. He's going to be running on fumes at the end of this race.
Well, I was just going to say the other thing though is if Martin can keep Dyson up high, Dyson does need to come down, which I'd say he's pretty happy now that he's not going to have to. He'll make Dyson use that fuel a little bit quicker.
And if Jason can do that, he could find himself in inside the top 3 tonight. If he can make it to the end. We've got 3 laps remaining here. It's Dyson, Neal, Urquio, our top 3 at the moment. Who is going to be able to make it on fuel? That's the question we are asking. They must be just running on the sniff of an oily rag at the moment. As you see, Darren Lobb actually just unlapping himself as well. He's working his way back up there, so it's getting very close. Next time round, the white flag will be flying. Who has timed this? Who has got the fuel to get to the end? We're about to find out who can make this one. Jason can probably push a little bit here because there being 1 lap down, that means 1 less lap of fuel you have to use. So he might be thinking about trying to unlap himself here. White flag will be out It's Dyson in the lead. Adam Lyons has come in for a late stop. That's going to drop him down the order. We are on the final lap here, just half a mile remaining. Who is going to be able to make it across the line with the fuel tank? Who is going to run out? We're only going to find out in a few moments, but it looks like Dyson is going to make it home here in at the 41 across the line to take victory as Barry Neal is out of fuel. Barry Neal's run out of fuel. That's put Lachlan Urquhart up into P2 as Barry Neal's trying to slide it around. He's trying to get it home, but that car is not going to make it. Barry Neal will finish in P3, I think. As everybody else is lapped down, he just needs to make it to the line. As Lachlan Urquhart comes home and secures P2, Barry Neal just has to slide it across the line as slowly as it's going. He's going to make it on inertia alone. He makes it across for P3 in the race with no fuel remaining.
Now that's what I call tight.
As Andrew Dyson has got a little bit of gas in the tank to get a little bit of a skid in there. And I think that was it. That was all the skid that was left in there. So not much fuel left in the 41 at all. That was a tense finish for everybody there. Lachlan Urquhart, though, did a fantastic job of fuel saving, getting it across the line into P2.
Yeah, well, our man did tell us about 70, and I was told between 71 and 75. So the top four were right in that window.
Lachlan Urquhart, 76 laps on that tank. Fantastic job from himself and Jason Martin, both of those drivers making it on 76 laps of fuel. So let's run through the finishing order for tonight's race here. It was round number 11 of the ANZCAR Cup at Dover International Speedway, and it was Andrew Dyson, the king of these fuel saves, making it home, making it look, well, I'd say look easy, but absolutely that did not look easy at all. Great job from Dyson. Also the biggest mover of the race, up 32 spots. Lachlan Urquhart, fantastic result in P2 tonight. Barry Neal brings it home in third. Another solid run from him, just missing out by a tiny cup of fuel. Jason Martin, on return to the Cup, comes home in P4 with Toby Stent in fifth. Got Darren McKenzie bring it home in sixth tonight with Neil Pearson in seventh. Dave Douglas in eighth. Charlie Schultz in ninth. And Darren Lobb rounds out our top 10. As we flip over the page, Ruben Phelps having a great recovery up into P11 tonight, with Aidan Schultz making it on fuel and getting it across the line. A good recovery from himself in 12th. Joshua Garrett Walton comes home in 13th, with Full Otto in 14th. Gary Wellman 15th. Ryan Jones doesn't keep up his streaks of second places, but he comes home in 16th spot. Is Adam Malone 17th, 18th for Kobe Jordan, Anna Stakis in 19th, and Shane Bowen in 20th. Steve McLennan comes home 21st with Paul Jackson 22nd. It's Stevie Dubb in 23rd with Nigel Patton in 24th. Jordan Clark 25th. Tristan Koch brings it home 26th. Then it's Daniel Hederscheid in 27th. Tom Neal 28th. Luke Georgeson 29th. And Christopher Tomlin in P30. Then Dwayne Burns, Matty Ray, Brenton Henderson, Mirko Dornack, Riley Curtis, and Aaron Dillon out early doors.
Some good fight backs there, like Barry Neal, Aidan Schultz, and some others. You've been able to fight back from being so far down and involved in things. And again, unfortunate for Matty Ray and some of the others, mate. Some bad luck continues this season for them.
Yeah, absolutely. But whereas bad luck, there is some good luck out there. Some really good runs from the drivers. And the first driver that had a good run, we're going to bring up in P3 tonight. The man that looked like he could use maybe just a thimble more fuel for the finish line. It is Barry Neal. Barry, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a solid top 3 finish here tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. No, it was good. I did need a bit more fuel. I was running when I went to that last stint. I think I was the last one to actually pit, and I thought, I can make it. And then I thought, no, I can't. So I went hard, and then I thought, maybe I can. So I went back to fuel safe.
That is what cost you, I think, because, yeah, we saw a few drivers out there really, really saving from the start of the stint. And I think that was the key to just get it across the line. But you almost made it tonight. A really solid run out there. Obviously, that previous stint, did you come in a little bit early on a green flag, or did you just pop it in at the end of the caution?
Oh no, because I got involved in badly beaten up actually on one of those cautions. Oh, probably just before the last caution. The last caution I think. And so, which was only a few laps into the stint, and so I kind of went in and had to get fixed up and got fuel then.
That explains it, because I was trying to work out when you came in, because I was looking there, I was going, when did he come in for that one? So that explains it for me, thank you. That makes my books nice and even. But it was a solid run after, and solid recovery as well, because we did see you get involved in that wreck and, get out of it relatively unscathed, but it didn't look like it was quite handling as well as it did before.
No, actually, I got a bit lost this evening. I didn't qualify very well, and then early on I was running really really slow, and not using any tire at all, and then I kind of got caught up, and it took me a while to get into my rhythm, but once I got into my rhythm, I started to go well, and I even though I was a long way back, I was catching the leaders at a tenth and a tenth and a tenth. So I was kind of working my way up there. So I was quite pleased with the pace once I bloody sorted my head out.
Once you got into the rhythm, you definitely looked like you had some pace up there, and we've seen that before from yourself. Once you get into that mode, you're one of the harder drivers to beat.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, no, it was good actually. And actually, I was just thinking before. I've never been talking to you as a podium unless I've won before. So this is the first time I've been in a position other than first.
Well, that's it. We've seen you up at the booth a couple of times, and it's always been for those magic wins that you just pull out and have a fantastic job. But it's nice to see you up in the booth with a podium position, because you've been missing those sorely. But hopefully next time it will be because of that victory. Look, congratulations tonight, mate. Well done. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing, the shout out, the love to the sponsors and to people in general.
Yeah. So, of course, the Aotearoa Racing, which one day you'll learn how to pronounce. Tony Richards Toyota, Bisenio Cognavares, Paul Jackson for being my teammate, and for you guys for putting it on.
When I finally master it, then it's Mark's turn.
No, I'll be dead and buried before I learn it.
It's really easy. It's really, ow, go out, ow, Tiaroa.
I blame the English accent. We're just not very good. We just can't do other accents.
Yeah.
Congratulations tonight. Always a pleasure, Barry. Hopefully we'll see you back in the booth in no time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Barry Neal there, having a fantastic recovery back up into P3, and nice to see him on at the podium tonight. Next up, we are going to be grabbing our second place finisher for SRM. It's the man that did a fantastic job of fuel saving, and will win the fuel saving cup, I'm sure, and make his boss very happy for not using up too much of that stuff. Mr. Lachlan Urquio. Lockie, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a really strong P2.
It's nice to get back up on the podium. I think that's the second one of the year now, which is a personal best by a long way. So I'll take that with open arms and open hands. But no, it was that was a tough race. I mean, I love this place to death. I could race here every weekend.
I always thought there's something wrong with you, Lockie.
Yeah, it's a real tough one because I put it up there as one of the toughest races on the calendar because you always get long green flag runs. I mean, we went 150 laps green here tonight, and it's 200 laps. It is a tough, grueling race, and I strive on it. I love it, and it's awesome to come away with a decent result for sure. But I wouldn't say I won the fuel saving cup because I think that one goes to Dyson out front. He was untouchable.
He got an extra couple of laps. I think he got like an extra lap in that final stint on you. So you made the longest stint in that final run.
Yeah, but that's because I had to make up a bit of track position. I came from like 11th or 12th on that restart to come up to like 5th or 6th, and I wouldn't have got up to 2nd if I didn't try and make that track position. So I'm happy the way I did it, and it clearly paid off as the best possible result I could get at that point.
No, absolutely. We saw a bit of racing between yourself and Joshua Carroll-Walden in those final stages, and we saw how heavily you were trying to save fuel as well. How nerve-wracking was that?
Oh, it was nerve wracking, a little bit frustrating because I had a lot of pace and I just couldn't quite. Because I had to save and try and clear him, and in the end, I think he got the message. Yeah, he ended up moving out of the way, so that was good of him in the end. But I mean, he's got to props to him. He's got to try and do something. I think he ended up pitting, didn't he, or something? I don't know. He dropped pretty decently down the order, so it's a shame because he drove really well, but. Hey, what can you do if you can't save fuel? Can't save the fuel.
No, look, you did a fantastic job out there. Did you start saving straight after that final stop, or were you sort of thinking?
I kind of broke it down into sort of 10 lap stints because I knew it was on the edge because you could get between sort of 72 to 78, 79 laps out of a tank. So what I was doing was every 10 laps, I'd look at the fuel numbers, see where I was at, what I had in the tank, and then adjust how I was saving to that. I think it ended up being that with about 20 laps to go, I had about 19 laps on the fuel tank. So that's when I went full save mode because I knew that I also had a look at the cars around me and went, okay, none of the two stoppers are going to catch me, even if I go full save. So that's when I really backed it off, saved it all because I didn't want to end up like, unfortunately, poor Barry Neal did and running out of fuel with a lap to go.
Now, I imagine when you saw an orange car just coughing in front of you, the excitement must have just gone, oh, this could be a position here.
I look, a few things went through my mind. I was definitely pleased. I felt a bit sorry for Barry because he drove really well. I mean, he managed, I think he got like 78 laps out of the tank or 79 laps out of the first tank. So, I mean, big props to him on that one, but it's just a shame that he couldn't quite save that little bit. I mean, in the end, I'd probably oversaved. I had about half a lap of fuel in the tank across the line, so didn't quite maximise it. But as you say, half a lap of fuel back in the kitty for Maddie.
It's the post-race inspection, mate. At least we know you're going to pass scrutineering now.
Yeah, but no, it was that was a good race. I always love coming here, and especially when we get big long green runs like that, and it tests you and it really pushes you to your limits.
No, look, a fantastic drive tonight from yourself, Lachlan. Well done indeed on a very solid P2, just one step higher to get in the Cup next. So hopefully we'll be seeing you back in the booth for that in the near future. But before I let you go, the usual thing, the shout out, the love to sponsors, to people in general. Go, let's have it.
A big thank you to Mobile Brakes Mechanical. They've been helping us out massively throughout the year, looking after us with practice sessions and stuff, and it's really paid off. I mean, it's a shame the other boys had a bad run tonight, but the pace was really was there with all four cars. If things had come good, I reckon we would have had 4 cars in the top 10 at least. So it's a big shout out to them. Big thanks to Mitre 10 for looking after me in the car, making it look spiffy as always. Big shout out to Made of Auckland for looking after us, and then Moondog as well for looking after the merch side of things.
Great.
And then one last quick shout out to the 2 supported charities, AAAF and TS Australia. Both really good organisations there. Do a lot of good work.
Great charities to be calling out, Lachlan. We're glad you can absolutely do them proud on the side of the car. Well done tonight, mate. Congratulations on a solid drive, stamping your foot down and making your mark once again tonight.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Thanks for the broadcast. You guys do an epic job every week, and I can't wait to watch this one back.
We hope you enjoy it. Thanks, Lachlan. Lachlan Oakley there, getting P2 tonight for SRM. And finally, we are going to be dragging up the 41, the man that has a little bit of extra fuel. It's said that he has a fuel tank in his beard, Mr. Andrew Dyson. Dyson, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a very strong victory here at Dover.
Thanks, man. Thanks, mate. That must be why it always smells a bit fumey around here.
It explains so much, doesn't it? I mean, you just got to be careful when, sparking up. Just don't set the beard on fire.
Luckily, I don't smoke, but for the special occasions, I'll remember it. I'll keep it in mind.
Congratulations tonight, mate. Very, very well done on the fuel saving run. Looked like you absolutely had that one timed to perfection.
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, it was a big strut race, wasn't it? And I don't know about perfection. Like, it was pretty much, that was it. That was as far as I was going to go on those 2 stints. And I was pretty surprised to see Barry actually went further in that second to last run there. So he had a little something up his sleeve, and he ended up doing 2 less laps than me in that last one. So obviously he went longer, and yeah, he had a handle on it too. Don't worry about that.
No, absolutely. We saw some good runs from people tonight, and that final little bit of the race, trying to get the lap on Jason Martin, looked like it was a little bit harder than probably it needed to be. And where you're sort of just thinking, do I put my foot down here, just make it pass easily, or do I save a little bit of fuel?
Well, actually, it was at the point of the race here where I could, as fast as I was going, was going to be the fuel number anyway because of the tyre. But it was all a bit awkward because I think I got to him and I stayed behind him for a bit, and I was happy to sit there. And then he kind of let me go, and then I bottled it, so he got back down the inside of me again, and then he stayed there for a bit. Then he decided to let me go, and then I was in front of him, and it was and I think we were just being a bit too nice to each other, so he ended up just pushing me to the finish. But yeah, I think what was happening was as soon as you got behind someone, the car would rotate awesome in the middle of the corner, and the car in front would just plow. And so whenever you were behind someone, like if I was going to be behind him or if he was in front of me, like whoever the car behind was always going to be faster and get an amazing run off the corner. And that's kind of what kept happening. So it was making it a bit awkward, but it was all good.
Well, I was going to ask. Obviously, through the first half of the race, we saw you siving your way through the field, and sounds like that's what you were taking advantage of.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but when you're in a line of cars, like kind of everyone's doing the same thing. So it still makes it pretty hard to pass. The most vulnerable guy is the guy at the front. But when the tyres are fresh, the car turns good. So yeah, at the start of the runs, not so much. You really had to wait until a long time in the run before you could make some moves on the fast guys anyway. So yeah, it was tough. Don't worry about that.
Well, we saw some of your teammates deciding just to look like 2 sets of tyres in the early stages of the race, or maybe just not take a set at all, and look like you yourself took all 4. Did that make a bit of a difference in that sort of second sort of mid-race stint for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the other guys were taking a bit of a risk to stay out, but at the same time, I think they were expecting more yellows, which is perfectly a pretty good strat, really. But the way the race was going, I didn't think there'd be too many yellows, and I was happy to risk taking the tyres anyway because I started so far back, and I kind of already used 2 sets, or pretty much used the first set and the second set that I took in the pits, to get back to kind of ninth sort of thing. I pretty much needed to take tyres then and there anyway, or I was going to be way worse off than everybody else. So yeah, glad it went glad it went green the whole way, but yeah, unlucky for the boys that didn't take tyres there.
No, absolutely, a really strong run, and you just had enough fuel just to give it a little bit of a flick spin at the end.
Yeah, that's all she had, man. About 0.2.
You gave us like a half donut, a croissant. You gave us a croissant at the end. Well done, Daiso. Look, before I let you go, though, please give a shout out to everyone. Congratulations on a fantastic win here tonight, a very well-deserved one as well.
Thanks, man. Well, first I just want to say, man, some of the driving out there was pretty awesome. So, especially, funnily enough, we we're just talking about Jason, but Jason, when someone came up from the bottom up to the sort of the middle of the track, like, or maybe the bottom of the track, come up off the apron to the bottom of the track in like 3, and everyone checked up, and he got the raw end of it, but he probably did the best job out of everyone to not basically slam through whoever it was. Obviously someone else was having a bit of a moment and still recovering it. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. There was some really cool side-by-side racing. At one point, I was sideways at the front straight. I think at one point, JCW was sideways at the front straight, so that was really cool. But yeah, thanks to those guys for the cool racing. And yeah, shout out Simrig, South Wales, Ben Max, Phoenix Smokers, Neil for the paint jobs, all that stuff. And yeah, you guys for putting on the league and the broadcast. Cheers.
You are always welcome, Daiso. Look, congratulations tonight. And yeah, that was a little bit of a scary moment. So for sure.
You could say. And there was another one too with Toby, but yeah, that was, I don't know who that was or what happened, but that was probably a similar thing. It was crazy.
Keeps you awake. That's the main thing. Look, congratulations tonight, mate. Well done, and I'm sure we will see you back in the booth in the near future.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Andrew Dyson there taking victory tonight. A very good job from Dyson. He is a very hard man to beat on the best of nights, and tonight was one of those best of nights for himself. Up 32 positions, a very strong run here once again. So let's run through the top 10 again for you. It was Andrew Dyson with Lachlan Oakware coming in second, Barry Neal in third, Jason Martin in fourth position. Great to see Jason back out on track. Toby Stenton fifth, Darren McKenzie sixth, Neil Pearson seventh, eighth for Dave Douglas, Jai Schultz in ninth, and Darren Lobb in 10th. Mark, your final thoughts on that race, mate?
Wow. Wow. Yeah, good to see guys being able to save some fuel. Hard luck for some guys that couldn't save fuel and ended up further down the down in the pack than they would have liked. But what a great race in the end.
Oh, absolutely. It's once again delivered a really, really fun race tonight. And well, if you're looking for more action on the ovals, we have that coming up this week. On a Saturday night, it will be over on Checkered Flag e-streaming. It will be the Weekend Warriors from Kansas.
Yes, mate. 400 miles there at Kansas, sunset race. So we definitely have the championship heating up and getting very, very close. And we're still only just a week behind ANZCAR, week 11 that we go into.
Absolutely. And well, speaking of ANZCAR, the Cup cars will be back at Kansas next time out next week. So make sure to hit the subscribe button to catch all of that action here on Performance e-streaming. And speaking of next week, we have even more action for you, of course. It is the final race for the final race for the trucks.
Yeah, for season 1, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember where that is. My brain has gone dead.
Yes, Nashville.
Beautiful. Nashville. That will be fun indeed. So it'll be off to Nashville. And then, well, a bit of a different run for the Xfinity series, for the Thunder series. We're off to Mid-Ohio. That is going to be a very tricky track and a very different place to race on for the Xfinity cars. So we hope you can join us for all of that action next week. But from myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you, of course, Mr. Mark Johansson and Mr. Matty Hunter doing all the hard work in the background, we will wish you a very good night and we will see you back soon. Thank you very much. Good night.